Okay, welcome back. Solo role Mangging. We're taking another look at Vagabond RPG, and we have made our characters. We have Korthar the Brave, our human dancer, Herbal Gerbil, our goblin bard, Francine, human druid, and Varuna, a human witch. They're all somewhat similar because they all went with 5 might, and they mostly all have medium armor due to the way that the system is set up, which, yeah, could certainly be tweaked. I mean, I don't know what house rule I could come up with to change the way that this works, other than just not attaching hit points to might at all. Which would probably be the easiest thing to do, is just assign each class a hit die and just use traditional hit dice for hit points. Considering that the bestiary uses hit dice, like it's a normal, typical thing. I don't know why why player characters had to use a different system. So that would probably be one of the first things I'd change here, is just go down the line. And, most of these are pretty obvious, really. Like, all the dedicated spellcasters are a D4. The fighter, the vanguard, the barbarian, D8s. And then a lot of D6s, really. That's pretty much it. The only problem is, usually you have like a con modifier or something like that. But that doesn't really work here because your modifier is going to be massive. So you could then come up with a separate table, I suppose, where you get like maybe +1 or 2 or maybe 3, depending on your might. So if you have like a might of 7, you get +3. Actually, here, I mean, this is the good way to do. Here you go. This table right here. So 2 to 3 would be a +1. 4 to 5 would be +2, 6 to 7 would be +3, which means that everyone's going to get at least a +1. So it's a little bit generous, I suppose, but it wouldn't be as ridiculous as it currently is, where I have a witch and a bard and a dancer all with 5 might, because that's the only way to get hit points. Yeah, fuck it. Fine, let's do it. Because I'm not going to rearrange their stats, although I could. But we're going to... this is all about how, house ruling this and trying to make this a game that I enjoy more. So, yeah, we're going to change this. So, Dancer would be D6, Bard would be D6, Druid would be D6, and the Witch would be D4. Like, not many classes get a D8. If you look at, say, Tales of Argosa... No, let's look at Axe. That'll actually use hit dice. So let's look at the core classes. So Fighter gets a D8. Explorer gets a D6. Thief gets a D4. Mage gets a D4. Crusader gets a D6. And Venturer gets a D6. It's the most common. Then if you go to the campaign classes, the Assassin gets a D6. Barbarian gets a D8. Bard gets a D4, actually. Blade Dancer gets a D6. Paladin gets a D8. Nice. Priestess gets a D4. Shaman gets a D6, actually. And Warlock gets a D4. And then to go to the... Oh, Witch also gets D4, yeah. And then if you go to the demi-humans, Dwarven Craft Priest, D6. Vault Guard, D8. Nightblade, D6. Spell Sword, D6. Wonder Worker D4. Yeah. Oh, and Rune Guard D6. So D6 most common. So if I was just going to go down this list here, Alchemist D6 probably. Barbarian D8, Bard D6. I know they did D4 for their Bard. I could see doing that, I suppose, especially with the way that we're always going to have at least a +1 to hit points. It just feels maybe a little harsh. It says low mid defense. Midline. Yeah, D6. Dancer D6, Druid D6, Fighter D8, Gunslinger D6, Hunter D6, Luminary D4, Magus D6, Merchant. Yeah, D6. Pugilist D6. Although if the Barbarian gets a D8, I'm not sure why I'd give the Pugilist a D6. Frontline Bruisers. Alright, I'll give him D8. This is obviously... You know, like, I'm a fan of Tales Argosava, which is a little bit more of a casual RPG compared to, like, really old school stuff. So, fine. Revelator is the Paladin, I think, right? Yeah. So, D8. That's fine. Rogue D6, Sorcerer D4, Vanguard D8, Witch D4, Wizard D4. Yeah, okay. So they all have 5 might, which means they're all going to get +2 to whatever I roll for this. But, we'll do Korthar first. He's a D6 +2. He rolled a 6, so he actually gets now bumped up to 8 hit points. That was, Wait, what? Why did it just delete all my characters? Wait, what? It just deleted all my characters? Are you serious? What? Wow. No, yeah, there should be a fucking confirmation to... What? It just deleted all other characters when I changed his hit points. Oh my god, this is fucked. Okay, we cannot use Owlbear Rodeo ever. We can't. Oh, fuck. You know how long it's gonna take to remake all that? What the fuck? Just instantly deleted. Oh my god, I'm gobsmacked. Okay, well, I have to pause the video here and remake all the characters on character sheets, because we're going with character sheets now. Fuck. Yeah, then I get, okay, yeah. It's like so demoralizing. Because it's just not, it's not fast, and it's not particular. I mean, it's fun somewhat the first time you make the character, but to remake it from memory and do all the inventory and stuff again is just brutal. Holy shit. Okay, they need to sort out something there. Oh my god. And it's iffy nowadays to launch an RPG without some sort of like stable, good VTT support. Like a lot of people, especially when you bill it as like being solo compatible and stuff, a lot of people use VTTs in one form or another, including me. So that's brutal. All right. Okay. Well, I did it. It was not super pleasant. I had to go back and reference the last video multiple times, and I don't think I got things exactly as they were. I didn't look at stats. I guess I could have looked at stats. I don't know why I didn't look at stats, but whatever. It's close enough. And I rolled hit points. I actually got mostly pretty lucky. Francine now has 8, and Herbal Gerbil has 7. Varuna ended up ticking down to 4 instead of 5, but them's the breaks, right? That's how it works. So yeah, certainly slightly above average. I'd say probably across the board for like an old school game, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that is what it is. Yeah, I mean, everyone's abilities and perks and everything should all be the same, should be what they were. And then equipment, mostly similar. With this character sheet, I can't actually put in 0.25. You can only put in 2 digits. So, things are now 0.2. Yeah. Also, the backpack you can buy, if you equip it, it takes up 0 slots and actually gives you 2 slots. There would be no reason never to not have a backpack in that case, which is why most games don't do crap like that. So, for now, it's just assumed everyone has a backpack and it doesn't give you any slots and whatever, you know, whatever. It's how I normally play. Yeah, so I think we're finally ready to begin then after that bullshit. And yeah, this is not how I like to have. I mean, yeah, I wish this was all contained within Foundry and just move on with our lives and blah blah blah, but I have to do the old-fashioned way of just having a bunch of PDF windows open. Which is annoying, but let's do it. So we are starting out of 109. Our little village we live in. We decide to set out on grand adventures. And we so you're probably not going to try to, like, you know, kill Curlin and steal his +1 longsword and +1 shield. This is our village. We're not going to try to steal the 1,000 silver coins out of the manor house or anything. We know about 2 quests. These are probably just like Curlin's always like got this open bounty on this bandit, but I don't know if we're ready for that or not. Hard to say. And then this sorcerer has recently blown through town trying to get some desperate peasants to go and slay this frost dragon, because he's just trying to commit genocide on every dragon in existence. So he's probably already moved on and like told us where to find them, or I don't know. Although he says that 2 shares of the treasure is found for me, the rest to be equally shared amongst you. So that suggests that he'll be like going with. In which case, if he goes with, I don't know if he really even needs the peasant. It's a young white dragon. He's a level 9 sorcerer with multiple magic items. He could just rain of fire it or something. Hard to say. I think more likely it would be like, if you bring me the dragon's head, like, I'll reward you, because he's really just he fucking hates dragons. That's how I see it. So there is some other thing. There is deep in the forest of our own home hex. There's a cave where the Etin Blessing and Curse lives. 11 hit dice. That would be 16 AC. He attacks for 3d6 and 3d6. Known for its fury and its appetite for human flesh. Luckily, it fears groups of more than a handful of people, and the locals have adapted. So we all know about the Etin that lives there. It leaves us alone because it's scared of fighting, 190 people. And we don't venture too deep into the forest near where it lives. And it's an amicable enough arrangement. But if we were bold enough, we could go slay it, because we know that it's killed people and it's probably got some treasure, which it does. But let's roll on this this rumor table that AI adapted for me. I haven't really read all these, so we'll see. It's a D9 roll. So we'll just go and roll a D9. 3. Clearing with the Mitra statue. Locals whisper the statue of Mitra is cursed. Those who stare straight into its stone face are marked by the winds and can't stay in the grove for more than a day. A single night's stay is said to turn one's hair to silver. So this is what we call unactionable intelligence. You know, there's not really much we can do with that. Most players are just gonna be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting lore. But it would just be something common we'd already all know. It's like, oh yeah, you know, we're the locals, you know, we are the ones whispering to other people the statue of Mitra is cursed. So we'll try a different one. 4. The ruined Hell Temple hides a sealed portal that once opened to the underworld. A recent earthquake is said to have cracked the seal, and the portal now hums with a low, unsettling echo. And that's in 110 to the south of us. So we could go investigate that. It sounds kind of dangerous, but it's a destination over just a random direction, I guess. So yeah, we'll go ahead and check out 01110 to see if we can find the temple there hiding a portal that's been cracked. Maybe we can reseal it into a good deed. So we are going to set out. These are 6-mile hexes as far as I'm aware. It doesn't really say. It says travel time is 1 hex per day without a trail, which is a very slow travel time. Especially because that's not accounting for any terrain or anything. So we don't really have to follow this. That's just their typical whatever, their pre-assigned method of doing it, but we can use whatever we want. It's our own hex scroll. So we'll use typical axe systems. I mean, this is the wilderness, but there is a trail. There is actually a trail that leads through that forest. We will be on the trail for a good amount of time. We have a speed of 30 feet per round. That's our combat speed based on our slowest member. So, that would be up to 7 stones. So that's this run. That means our expedition speed is 18 miles per day in good terrain and all that stuff. That's our sort of max. But on a trail, then it gets a little bit better. So this would be forests, which would be 2/3, so it would actually be 12, but we're on a road for most of it, so it equals out to about 18 miles per day. So it's not going to take us a whole day. We are going to have to go off the trail to find this temple, I assume, but we'll have to check the hex for that. But this should only take us, I don't know, a few hours, like 2.5 hours or something to get to at least like the midpoint here on the trail. And we're going to roll for a random encounter. We'll be using axe random encounters for all this because some of the hexes do have wandering monsters that we could look at, but not many. And not this one. So we're mostly just going to be using the axe tables based on our terrain. Okay, so this is going to be, what are we? We're all entirely borderlands here, maybe outlands to be honest. Yeah, I think we're gonna count pretty much this entire region as outlands. There isn't really like we're not. We're not on the border of civilization here. We're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. This is wild frontier that we're trying to settle. You know, people are trying to live out here. because the land is bountiful, but monsters are bountiful too. So we're going to go with Outlands for the whole hex crawl. But we are on the road here, so it's a D20 roll. 8 is going to be no encounter, thankfully. Okay, so we've arrived in 110. This is a Badland area, full of shrubs and wild hedges. On one of the hills are the ruins of an old hell temple. Here lives the hermit halfling Cramnisin with some sheep. That is all the guidance we have for this hex, which means that the AI really went off on its own, half-cocked, and just made up something. I'm not entirely opposed to that. I think that's kind of interesting. So there's an old temple to Hel, which I assume is a goddess of death as far as this is concerned. So I try to convert everything to Forgotten Realms. So let me just see what the Faerunian pantheon of death or something would be, or the underworld. I probably should just know that off the top of my head. Kelemvor. Yes. Lord of the Dead, Judge of the Damned. Okay, that's fine. So this is there's an old temple to Kelemvor here on one of the hills. We could probably spot it from a distance, and we're probably somewhat familiar that it's here. But we likely don't know much beyond that. I don't think we've ever been there. And inside this temple, there's a halfling hermit named Cramnisin. And he probably is a devout follower of Kelemvor, as one does. And he is aware of the seal that is here. A sealed portal to the underworld. This all makes sense. And so now he's very concerned about this, because yeah, the portal that's in the temple is now cracked somewhat, and there's a low humming sound. And I think we should have it where, as we approach and enter into this somewhat ruined temple, that's sort of the moment that something exciting happens, right? It's like a movie, somewhat. I mean, you could make it not cinematic, you can make it not exciting if you want, but I think that's, like, if I were running this, that's when I would have something happen. We talked about this before, like when you enter a room in a dungeon, like there is something often happening in the middle of it. You don't worry about the timing of it or anything. It's just the timing of when the players enter. So that's what's going to happen here. Something is going to now crawl out of the portal. So this is something to the underworld. So I think we're dealing with undead pretty readily here. So we want something undead to crawl out of here. Now, ideally, we pick something kind of exciting, because I don't have any guidance here. I can do whatever I want as long as it's something undead from the underworld. It could be skeleton, and we want it to be really boring. Well, actually, let's look at Vagabond, because that's the easiest way to not have to convert anything. So we want something that's undead, which I think is... Yeah, okay, there's a section for undead. It's not listed in the bookmarks, though. Annoying. So let's look at their big undead section. Banshee, carrion clump, writhing mass of fetid bones, tissue, and viscera. Ooh, okay, that's pretty good. That makes a lot of sense. I think we would go with that. Okay, so it's 2 hit dice. They appear in groups of D6. We're going to have a group of D6. That seems fair to me. So we're going to roll. It just ends up being 1. All right, it's a little bit of a taste. Just a taste of what's coming from down there. And so this writhing mass, bones and viscera, just nastiness, just slurps out of this cracked portal on the ground in the middle of the temple as we enter. And we see the halfling probably like, you know, he hears us approach, he comes around a corner, and he's like, who is that? And then this thing, the portal sort of shudders, and this thing plops out and starts crawling towards him, and he shrieks, and we charge in, of course. So we roll initiative. Except there is no roll initiative in this game. Players always go first, which is crazy. It still seems crazy to me. We always go first. We can always alpha strike no matter what. All right, then strike we shall. So, let's get some ranged attacks in. Yeah, we don't want to spend any mana. This is one thing. It looks relatively weak, sort of. I mean, it looks nasty, but it looks relatively weak. So let's start with, I guess, just firing off the sawed-off shotgun. Why not? So that's going to be a ranged attack roll. Herbal Gerbil needs an 8 or higher on a d20. He crits. Well, that's pretty good, because it's brutal, so he actually gets to roll 2d8 now for damage against this thing. And he rolled 3. Well, wait a minute. What is a crit normally? Oh, you also deal damage equal to the stat used, which is his awareness, so he dealt 9. Okay. That was the fight then. This thing crawled out, started sliding towards the halfling, and Herbal Gerbil takes out his sawed-off shotgun and just blasts it into tiny little fragments of flesh and bone. Yeah, okay. Well, that was simple. I mean, it was a crit, and it was one creature, so yeah. Okay. Now, I don't want to use their XP system. Probably ever. And I don't really like the idea of milestone leveling in an OSR game. So we're probably just going to fall back to the usual of, like, Axe XP. This thing was 2 hit dice. I don't know if it had a special ability or anything. We didn't even get to see what it does. It has a ranged attack that causes sickened. But other than that, I guess it is immune to poison. And has blind sight. And it's undead. Yeah, we'll give it a special ability. So it's 2 hit dice with 1 special ability, which is going to be 29 XP. All right, so the halfling certainly thanks us, and he tells us that a couple days ago there was an earthquake that shook the whole place, and he thought the whole place was going to come down on him, but it didn't. Instead, however, the seal in the floor here in the center of the temple has cracked open, and there's now like a pretty decent gaping hole in it. About, well, wide enough for someone to probably slip down there, or something to slip out, as we just saw. Nothing had come out yet until now, but it has been, you know, there's this low hum coming from down there, which we can hear now as well. And so he doesn't know what to do. You know, he's a devout follower of Kelemvor, and he's said many rites and prayers, hoping that, you know, something will happen, something will deliver this back to normal. And lo and behold, these adventurers suddenly arrive, save his life, and now he's firmly in the belief that Kelemvor has sent us to go down into this portal. And, you know, purify it down there, because he knows that things are now starting to come up. So obviously the portal needs to be resealed. And he's somewhat confident that maybe he could do that. But it will take some time, and so we're going to have to now basically physically cleanse it and keep the evil undead at bay down there. So that's one way to do it, is we actually go down, a classic dungeon thing. The other way to do it would be basically more like a defense mission. Like, we have to just watch over this and kill anything that comes out while he performs a rite to sort of reseal it. We can obviously just, like, physically reseal it with, like, rock and mortar and stuff and cover it back up. But without the magical protection, the divine protection that was actually keeping it sealed, it's just going to break again. So it's basically a combination of the earthquake plus enough time and neglect passing that the divine seal on it has also passed. So it needs both. It needs both the physical seal and the divine seal, and he thinks he can handle those aspects, but it'll take some time. So we could wait and just defend it in case anything comes out. But if a lot comes out or something big comes out and breaks the whole seal completely as it, like, emerges, then, it's going to be way more time consuming. It could be a long time before we can actually reseal this thing. So his strong recommendation is that we go down there and basically clear it out or defend the seal from underneath until he's ready to cover it up and enact the ritual. So this is probably, this is spontaneous. I didn't know we were gonna do this video. So this would be where if I was DMing and I was scrambling and just like, yeah, fuck it, let's improv. I'd probably make it fairly simple. Like, basically, they just have to, like, camp down underneath this seal in, like, a cavern. It's not really a dungeon. They just have to stay down there and then defend it from any undead creatures that are going to come this way. Which is kind of unique. Alternatively, we could make a dungeon and make some sort of undead filled cavern system down there that we'd have to cleanse, or we could find a module that contains some sort of cave system with undead or something like that and just run that. I don't know if I have any off the top of my head. I have all the adventure anthologies I could look through and maybe there would be one, but I suppose probably the best way to do this would be just how I would DM it, which would just be like a defense mission. Here's the Death Crypt of Khaldun. But that's for about 6 level characters, so I don't think that's gonna help. Yeah, I think we'd probably just do a defense mission rather than trying to shoehorn in a module. Because the module doesn't really make much sense either. If we cleanse the tomb, then we cleanse the tomb. Then it would just be done. Yeah, you could say that it's like a catacombs down there or something like that has been amassing in undead forces for some time that is now going to burst through before long if we don't clear it out or get it resealed. But it's a little bit harder to believe, I guess, compared to just like, yeah, there's now an open portal to the underworld. We need to just defend this for like a day. Although here's the Tomb of Thorin Zeus for levels 2 to 4. No, we'll just do the defense mission. That's fine. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, we're not too happy about it, and he doesn't really give us that good of a timetable as to when he'll be ready to reseal this. He's resourceful. There's all sorts of rubble around that he can use to physically reseal the portal, the hole, as well as he's resourceful, so he can make some mortar or something close enough to it. It doesn't have to be perfect. The divine seal will keep everything in place through fucking magic. I don't have to explain shit. But it's mostly about just preparing various elements of the ritual. And once again, we just don't need to delve into what it is exactly. It just takes time. It's a MacGuffin sort of thing. So that's all he keeps telling us. It will take some time. It'll take some time. He doesn't give like a clear timetable. So they're just gonna go down there. It's like, okay, well, we only have so much food, and blah blah blah. All right, so we go down, and the problem is it's pretty dark. That's the other thing. Like, we only have so much light and torches. We can light a campfire down there, which will somewhat help. But it's still like, how much can I really strain? I think Shadow Dark has some guidance on using torches to make a campfire. I think that's part of the rules. Campfire. Combine 3 torches into a campfire that can't be moved once lit. It lasts up to 8 hours. Okay. So we have quite a lot of torches, actually. I think I gave everybody but Varuna 6 torches. Which means we have a total of 18 torches. Right. And it costs... Okay, so I can make 6 campfires in total. And that's going to last... 6 times 8 is some number, 48. So 48 hours I have before I run out of torches and we gotta skedaddle. So hopefully he's done by 2 days, because this is not going to be pleasant. Alright, so we set up a campfire. Obviously, then, this is going to take 2 days to make it more dramatic, which is, I'm leaning certainly into more modern D&D territory with how cinematic and modern this is and stuff, but this is still going to be pretty old school lethal shit. So, yes, basically we're in a cave, and I'm trying to picture what like a portal to the underworld would look like, or like a hole to the underworld that would be like very ominous. We definitely don't want to go near it or in it or anything, but we know something might come out of it. So I'm picturing this small like 30-foot by 30-foot cave, and at one end is just like this inky pool of blackness that's like constantly in motion. It's sort of slightly bubbling, and just looks foul, and there's like kind of a foul smell of death in this cave. Like, we don't feel comfortable here, and the campfire never really gets us that warm in this cave. Obviously this temple was built on top of this thing, right? And this portal was put in to seal this off. So this is just like this unnatural cave. To Kelemvor's shame, I suppose, that the underworld is leaking out here. So we have 48 hours, and we have to just basically decide how often we're going to have checks, or if I don't want to do checks, how often we have just guaranteed encounters. Because we could do random encounter checks, like every hour or something, but that could lead to an overwhelming amount of undead, like an overwhelming amount of encounters, or really not many at all. But you're talking about 2 days of constant checks every hour, that's kind of too much. So I think we can't do every hour. Maybe every 3 hours or every 4 hours. Let's do every 4 hours. We'll have one check. I think it's unlikely we'll go, because that's 12 checks, right? Statistically, we should have 2 encounters, which I think is fair, because there's likely to be more than that, but it's possible there's only one. But these could be pretty devastating. You know, I have nothing. I'm not going to balance it or anything. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So yeah, let's just do every 4 hours. And 4 hours, nothing. 8 hours, nothing. 12 hours, nothing. 16 hours, nothing. 20 hours, nothing. 24 hours, yes. Okay, so we arrived here at like, what did I say, like 11 or something? Or 10 maybe? So 10 a.m. the next day, we're going to have an encounter. But let's consume rations. Yep, we're going to have to manually tick this down. This is why we like to have I don't know, virtual tabletops built for our system that I can just adapt. Okay. All right, so our encounter. We're going to how do we want to do this? It's a good question. I need a guaranteed undead encounter. I don't know if we want to be random. I don't think we want random. We could just do more of the carrion clumps, but that might get a little old. We could do shadows. But they are immune to mundane weapons, which is a pretty rough thing to throw at level 1 players. So I think we probably should just do... We have blazing bone skeletons. They're immune to pierce and slash. Oh, so are regular skeletons. Wow, that's brutal. Immune to pierce and slash. That's really like... That's not old school. We've had this discussion where I thought, and I think many people might think, like, oh, old school gaming skeletons are like, they take less damage from piercing and more damage from blunt. And it's like, that's not old school. That's like 2nd edition. So this is very much like some weird modern old school combo of just shittiness. That's crazy. Yeah, that would change things then, because what would be really my option? I have short swords. I have a shotgun, which is pierce. I have spell. I would basically be spells. Maybe there's probably... Actually, I don't know. Is there a beast that I could turn into that would do bludgeoning damage? Most of this is bites. Or claws. What would be a bludgeoning damage from a beast? Funny that it doesn't specify at all what type of damage it is. Oh, a deer. Yes, a deer would do hooves. That would be bludgeoning. Okay. Not an ideal animal, but yes, that would be what we'd pick. Probably better to just blast it with magic spells, though. But I don't know if I want skeletons just because they're kind of like... We always fight skeletons, even if these are trickier and different. Boomer zombies. Oh my god, they're exploders. Out to 30 feet. Reflex save to avoid it. And that's 2d6 damage, and you have to pass an endure save or become sickened. But they die, and they appear in groups of d8. And that's their only action. That's what they do. They just all explode. It would be horrible. Okay. I do like that. I mean, I think this is a pretty solid bestiary overall. What do their normal zombies do, just so I can see? They have no armor. They can't move or target over lines of salt or in areas illuminated by sunlight. Can't be reduced below 1 hit point unless damaged by a crit. Damage is weak to or while in sunlight. Wow. Wow, man. This game is hard. By a crit, silver weapons, or while in sunlight. You cannot kill them. Oh my god. That's harder than the skeletons. Yeah, silver weapons, not easy. Although I think I have bless, right, as a spell. We gave that to our druid, I think. Yeah, so I could bless all our weapons to count as silvered. Okay, I'm scared of these things, but all right, we'll do zombies. We'll mix it up a little bit. I know that doesn't mix it up a little bit. Okay, well, we'll maybe save zombies for a second battle. Fine, we're gonna do the carrion clumps again. I'm gonna roll d6 or how many we get. I'm gonna re-roll a 1. Okay, well, well, I asked for it. So we're gonna have 6 carrion clumps now slide out of the ooze out of the blacky inky pit at the far side, and we do battle. It's not really a surprise. I mean, most of our thoughts are kind of bent towards that scary pool, so we're all quite aware. Right. So they have 9 hit points each and 1 armor. So yeah. But they're pretty slow. They only have 10 feet speed. So it's going to take them, like, around... Oh, but they have ranged attacks. That's right. Okay. Well, then, I guess we're going to start with Herbal Gerbil, who's going to use his move action to blast on his trumpet. So we all have a favor on our attacks, except for him. And then he's going to blast something. And I wish I didn't have to go here and close. It's just annoying. Right, so he's going to shoot 1. So he needs a 6 or higher. He got it. So that means that he does 1d8 damage. And I don't think there's anything else funky that I have to worry about. 2. That's how much he does, which is reduced by 1. So one of them's at 8 hit points, 5 of them are at 9 hit points. But at least we have favor on all our attacks. I think Korthar is going to activate Step Up, of course. And he's going to give... Should I give Herbal Gerbil another action and take another shot? Pranseed could cast a spell. Yeah, she could cast a spell. Although I don't know what she would cast, really. Oh, Bless also gives an extra d4 to attack, so he said. So she could blow all her mana on it. Or she could attack twice. As a... What was the beast we said we were gonna do? Not a deer. Fuck, what was it? Oh, the bird. The Pteranodon. or whatever, wasn't it? It was some sort of bird. Yeah, with a D6. Or Varuna could cast a couple spells. Like Fear. Fear would be pretty good, like a group Fear, and then she could blast one of them. Fear. Target is frightened of another visible target you choose for the duration. Yeah. So it would be, one target they're frightened of. -2 penalty to damage it deals. So we could make them all frightened of Korthar. But then why would they attack? They wouldn't attack Korthar. And we want them to attack Korthar. So I could make them frightened of... I don't know. Ourself? With only 4 hit points? Or we just blast AoE. We just do a big sphere. I assume I have acid damage from it here. Oh no, you can't cast it here. What do you cast? Oh, you do cast it here. Yeah, so we can do acid damage to all of them. That's probably what we should do. So if we want to cast a sphere, assuming they all clumped out together onto the area, and we just want to blast them. It's a 5-foot radius sphere. I think we'd have to go to 10 feet to hit everybody. So that would be 3 mana. And then we may as well throw the extra mana to make it 2d6 to all 6 of them. Alright, we'll do that. So we'll give Varuna the extra action so she can follow it up with a second blast. She's going to blow 4 mana to attack all of them. We have to roll a casting check, which is a D... we need a 6 or higher. We got it. And then they just take 2d6, right? I mean, there's no funky business here. We're not casting for the effect or anything like that. So 2d6 on all of them. Fucking Christ, man. Now, I can't re-roll that, right? It has to be... You can only re-roll checks. Reroll an unresolved die you rolled. No, that could be anything. That's only 1 die. Okay, so we're going to reroll 1 of the d6 by spending luck. Or should I reroll both? Fuck it, reroll both. Okay. No, fuck it even more. We're re-rolling 1 more. So a 2 plus 4. Okay, so 6 damage. At least we got close to the average. Jesus Christ. 6 damage, so they all take 5. Right, they all take 5. So one of them's at 3 hit points, the others are all at 4 hit points. She's now going to follow it up on the 3 hit pointer, and she's going to just do a basic blast with it here. So she needs a 6 or higher on mysticism. She got it, and she does 0 damage. Awesome. All right, and then last is Francine, who's going to charge in and shape change mid-run into a big bird. I'm pretty sure it was the Pteranodon. Yes, the Pteranodon has 1 armor, 4 hit points, and a d6, and a flight speed. Right, so She's going to go after the one at 3 hit points. She rolls her mysticism, I think. Yeah, she uses mysticism. So she has to roll mysticism to cast shape change. And then she has to roll it again to try to hit this thing. Yes. To shape change, successful. To attack, successful for d6 damage. Holy fuck, man. We are... What the hell? These are terrible rolls. I can't use this dice roller. This is abysmal. Yeah, just abysmal. Okay, now it's their turn. So they are, let's see. Why is there not a bookmark for undead? How could you fuck this up? They have ranged attacks. I don't know if there's any penalties or anything of any kind to, I mean, I don't ever think I saw... Like, you're hindered if you use a ranged attack in melee, but I feel like that wouldn't be that ridiculous to just impose. So let's house rule that. Yeah, we're going to house rule that. I don't know. I don't think that it's mentioned anywhere. I would have seen it here, I think. So you're gonna hinder if you range attack in melee. And so these things don't want that, and there's no ops, so it's not like it's that big of a deal anyways. I mean, there could be ops, but it's on someone has to specifically take that perk. So this thing moves away, and I guess I have to kind of determine. I'm gonna roll a d6 for how many target Korthar. We'll just do it that way. Okay, 3 of them target Korthar, 3 of them attack Francine. Now, Francine only has 4 hit points, but she has 1 armor. Basically, she's downgraded. Which seems weird now if she dies while in that. That's really she probably shouldn't have shape changed. Because normally she'd have 2 armor and 8 hit points, so this is a pretty big downgrade. But I get to use... I get to use a lot of stuff of stat. Speed, passive, senses, armor, immune, weak, actions, and abilities. The target's hit point, and if possible, its actions and abilities. Right. But I get to use... no, I get to use mysticism for basically any role, which is really good. Oh, I get to use mysticism for any actions that it has, but not for everything. So I still, I think, use like my own reflex scores and stuff, which makes sense. Okay, so 3 attacks on Korthar. So Korthar is going to roll reflex, well, 6 times, really, because he has advantage. So here we go. So the first attack, that's a 13. He needs 8 or higher. So the first one misses. The second one he rolled an 8. So then he rolled a 3 and a 15. Okay, so he dodged all 3. No problem. As expected. He really shouldn't have too much trouble dodging a few attacks. That's why he's a dancer, baby. It's why he's so brave. Francine, though, this is going to be a bit trickier. She still also has an 8 reflex, but she only gets the 1 roll. This first one hits, second one misses, third one hits. It's pretty bad. That's pretty darn bad. They attack for a d6. And then if you get hit, you have to pass an endurance. Endure becomes sickened, which prevents you from speaking. So I'm going to roll a d6. So that's 4 damage plus 3 damage. She's technically dead then. If we say that if you die, we'll shapeshift, you're dead. You're brown bread. I want to see... Well, yeah, Axe doesn't have a druid. Tales of Argosa doesn't have a druid. There's a skin change spell, though, so I want to just look at that. If slain, the caster reverts to his original form. I think that's often generally how it works. Does Shadow Dark have a shapeshift spell? Maybe in the novice magic. Nah. Nah, doesn't really look like it. But the player's companion does have a druid or something, I thought. That's something where you can shape change. Yeah, here you go. You can shapeshift. And that's it. Okay, no guidance for what that means. Tales of Argosa doesn't have anything like that, I'm pretty sure. So, oh, it has transmogrification, so again, we'll compare one more thing. No, I don't. Doesn't mention it. All right, well, generally we trust Axe in all things. My only question is it too overpowered if she just reverts back to 8 hit points and blah, blah, blah? Well, she took 2 attacks. So the first one knocked her back to her normal form. The second one, she'll just take the damage as her normal form, which would be 2 damage. And now she has to roll Endure twice to avoid being sickened, which is a 10 or higher. So she already failed twice, which means that she becomes sickened for CD6. She stinks and she can't speak from how much she's puking, but she still can fight normally. Well, no, sickened I think is a general -2 to something. -2 penalty to any healing it receives. Okay. I don't think there's a good way for me to indicate this. As far as there's no conditions or anything. I'll just put that here. Sickened CD4. Can't speak. Okay, so then on her turn we'll roll that countdown die. That's it then. So now it's back to our turn. Yeah, I forgot that we have favor on all our attacks, by the way. But I don't think anyone missed. It was mostly just damage. It was fucking terrible. So... I feel like our best damage bet then is Herbal Gerbles. So Korthar's going to step up. And he's going to give... He's going to, keep dancing around these clumps. And he's going to give the action to Herbal Gerbil. Herbal Gerbil is going to fire twice, starting with the one with 3 hit points. Okay, that's a good hit for D8 damage. That's 3 damage, so it's dead. And then he'll reload, or fire the other barrel at one of the 4 hit pointers. That's a hit. And that's kills. So he got 2 kills. That was well done. He also is going to perform to give everyone favor on their attacks. Which, again, I didn't roll. We'll roll if I fail. Francine's going to polymorph back into Pteranodon, because I don't see if there's any limitations on that. The problem... Okay, so the problem with having no limitation shapeshifting, where it reverts you back to your human form, is that you essentially have almost unlimited hit points, right? Okay, well, one way to somewhat balance that is then any excess damage you take transfers to your human form, and any like follow-up attacks like I did would go to your human form. It's still pretty good, but it's not like... Yeah, it's still pretty good, but it's either that or it's just like, why would I ever fucking shapeshift until I'm like really high level? And even then, like, it's just not going to be like a combat thing that you would do. It would just be like a utility thing, which is okay, but it's not very exciting. So for my purposes, I don't think I'll abuse it too much, and it's still a pretty lethal game. And I think for DMing for my family, they would never really abuse that too much, so fuck it. Right, so we're gonna roll the countdown for Francine. So if I roll a 1, it's over. No, okay. So it just keeps going. That doesn't mean anything on its own. She's gonna shape change back into a Pteranodon, so she has to roll to succeed on that. That is a success, and then she's gonna roll to attack. That's also a success for D6 damage. She needs a 5 or a 6 to kill this thing. She doesn't. She does 2 damage. So we have 3 dead. No, we have 2 dead. We have 1 at 2 hit points, and 3 of them at 4 hit points. Alright, and then Varuna is going to just blast the one with 2 hit points. So she needs a 6 or higher. She got it. Okay, so she killed it. So we have 3 left now that have 4. They're all going to target Porthar, of course. That's what he's all about. So he gets to roll twice. Okay, he succeeded on the first one. He succeeded on the second one. And he succeeded on the third one. No crits, though. Alright, back to us. I think we got this in the bag. We're going to repeat the same thing, really. I mean, Herbal Gerble's never going to stop spamming that sawed-off. So, Porthar steps up, gives him an extra action. He fires twice. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Well, technically, right, well, I didn't say it, but I probably should have... What? Oh, but he wouldn't benefit from it anyways. Yeah. Okay, he needs an 8 or higher, and he didn't get it, so I'm gonna re-roll. He still didn't get it. I could have added... Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. We're going through luck. There it is. D8 on one of them. That's a kill. There's 2 left with 4 hit points. He rolls his other shot, and he misses, of course. Alright, that's fine. Then Francine's gonna squawk in and try to claw it to death. She hits for D6. She does 3 damage to 1, so it's got 1 hit point, and then there's still 1 with 4 hit points. Varuna will try to blast that last one with 1 hit point. She hits, and she kills it. So there's 1 left. It's not going to back down, but it's going to attack Francine. So she has to roll to dodge that. She crits, so she gets an action on his ass. And she's going to try to claw him. Oh, she has to roll... Sure. Okay, so she rolled a success, but then she didn't do any damage. Alright. Then it's back to us once more. Step up, Herbal Gerbil fires, blah blah blah. He hits for D8, and he kills. And that combat is over. Okay, so that was sort of our first real normal combat with a full group of characters. Yeah, I mean, we seem pretty powerful, and it's hard to say, right? Like, in a normal game, you probably struggle to land a hit because of AC and stuff. Like, it's very common. Like, you might only have at level 1 or some +1 or +2 to hit or something, and so you need to you succeed like maybe 40% of the time or 35% of the time, or something like that on a reasonable monster. So there's a lot of just like, I missed, damn it, I missed, I missed. But then if you do land a hit, it's like, okay, it's generally, a lot of time it's a pretty solid blow, because a lot of these monsters have like 4 hit points or something. But here you hit a lot of the time. Most of the time you're gonna hit, and you can re-roll. There's like all sorts of buffs to like get favor. Like if we have a bard, so everyone would have had favor on all their attacks all the time. But damage is a little iffier because of armor, just lowering your damage. And so you could hit and do like nothing, or do like 1 point of damage. And if you have something that's like 2 hit dice at level 1, it can be sort of a slog to just slowly drain it. That blast that we did at the start with all her mana was really helpful, because that cut everything down to basically like a 1-hit die monster. If we had to chew through 9 for all 6, that would be tough. But 6 2-hit dice monsters are probably going to be a bit tricky for a group of level 1s. Overall, my impression would be probably that, yeah, characters are somewhat overpowered. Like, this is certainly not that old school of a game, despite like the general low hit points for players and the kind of rough monster design of like immunity to pierce and slash, or like can't be killed except under special circumstances on basic enemies. I do think stuff like that has the potential to be really interesting, but I think most OSR gamers don't do that with skeletons, right? Where they can only be damaged by blunt weapons or something. But yeah, I don't know. Does that make for a more interesting design space when you do stuff like that, rather than just like, yep, it's a skeleton? Normally, the only real interesting thing about a skeleton in combat is that they never flee, which that's enough for most people. Like that's scary enough. They never flee. They will always keep going. You have to slaughter them every time. Whereas here it's like, let's throw all this on there, but then also players have a lot more on there. So I think that's sort of the balancing mechanic. So I think if you ran Vagabond and used or converted like the axe zombie or the axe skeleton, or anything from like OSE, just like a very basic kind of monster, I think it probably would be too easy most of the time, unless you made like really unbalanced fights, or they walked into really unbalanced fights. Whereas it's kind of designed with the Vagabond monsters in mind, that they're going to have a lot of gimmicks and tricks. Players have a lot of gimmicks and tricks, and that's sort of where it's at, which is a very modern thing. So it's an interesting kind of combination of old and new here, which is also true for Tales of Argosa. Here it just feels a bit more modern in a lot of ways. Like, I'm using step up Tales of Argosa has special abilities, but they're very limited. You're limited to like once per fight a lot of the time at level 1 for most of your stuff. Like, you can cast a spell once per fight. You can use your special rogue ability thing of like throwing a glue pot or flash powder once per fight at level 1. Here, though, like, I'm using step up every round. I'm using Virtuoso every round. I'm shape-shifting constantly. I can keep blasting spells pretty much to my heart's content, as long as I'm smart about my mana. Stuff like that. And then, like, yeah, getting hit. Like, Korthar is practically invincible to most stuff at this level. Because if we... And I'm going to go back to the bestiary, and let me just look at, like, something low level. Like, what would really hinder him? What would hinder his dodge or something? Is basically like, I guess if he got restrained. So if he happened to get hit and he got restrained. But advantage on all dodge. It would have to be some sort of AoE that he couldn't dodge, he has to endure. That would be probably something that fucks him up. Yeah, just kind of looking. Yeah, like a grasping goo or something. Beings that make physical contact with it must pass, endure, or be restrained. But he doesn't really do anything. Like, he just dodges and weaves around the enemies. And most enemies, like, you can't really argue. Most enemies would try to hit him. Even though he's not attacking them or anything, he's, like, up in their face, and he's moving around them, and he's, like, got his weapon out and stuff, like... Yeah, I mean, he's a target. Either, like, whether it's a mindless goo or it's, like, a bandit, they're gonna try to hit him. So I think he's pretty darn powerful, even though he doesn't do anything. But he gives, like... He gives Herbal Gerbil the ability to just shoot twice. So he's sitting in the back with, like, his shotgun turret. Korthar's dancing around everything, trying to absorb hits and attacks. Like, it's a pretty nasty combo, right? I wouldn't have thought. But yeah, I mean, Korthar the Brave, I didn't imagine him in this way, but it's pretty good. I don't think this is, like, the most OP party. Probably Francine. Well, Francine eventually will be pretty good. But okay, so that was the first 24 hours. We dealt with that. Unfortunately, that was at 10 a.m. after we rested. So the only thing we can do now is take a breather. And I have to figure out where that is. Rest. There it is. Once per shift. Once per shift. So that's once per 6 hours. You can eat a ration and drink some water to regain hit points equal to your might. Yeah, that's really damn good. So you'll go through rations that way, but that does encourage more of eating throughout the day rather than just my normal thing of, yeah, you just eat one ration at night and you're good. It's like, it's a really weird fast system of fasting. So this makes a bit more sense. You eat throughout the day. So yeah, I guess. And not everyone has to eat a ration. Really, only Francine, I think, took damage. So yeah, the problem with that is it's just HP. You can't get it back any mana, and you can't get back any luck. That has to be... Well, that just requires a shift of light to no activity, which is really interesting too, because that encourages like a shorter adventuring day. That doesn't say sleep. That's just resting, and that gives you full hit points, luck, and mana. So really now, I guess I wouldn't even eat the ration. I would just say, okay, well, we're just chilling here for 6 hours. We have to weather the storm of one more random encounter check. But if that's nothing, then we get back everything. Yeah, okay, that's nothing. So now we're back to full. We have all our luck back, all our mana back, and all our hit points back. Which I think is going to encourage most groups to just take things very slowly through dungeons. And a lot of fights are going to be done at like full capacity. Interesting. Okay, so then we have... I rolled one more, so then we have 5 more checks. 1, 2... Okay. I'm just going to roll the rest right now. 3, 4, 5. We have 2 more random encounters with undead. Again, I don't really have a way to... I mean, I said we wanted to do zombies. I think we're going to switch it up from these oozes. So let's make it a bit of an easier one. And then the grand finale, the big zombie battle of death. So I need something a bit easier, which you'd think would be skeletons, but skeletons in this case aren't really that easy. We could just have one, or no, I guess we could do shadows. But no, that's also, shadows are too tricky. They're immune to mundane. I'd have to use bless. And then I would be fucked for the follow-up fight, where I'd also need bless. I mean, it would be a lesson for sure in this world of like, hey, if you're fighting undead, you need silver. But that seems shitty to just spring on players, because it's like, I don't know. It's just like, if you had one player that had read the bestiary of this game, and you'd be like, hey guys, to fight undead, we really need silver weapons and blunt weapons and stuff, so keep that in mind. Oh, we're going to a temple devoted to a god of death, and there's like a seal there to the underworld and stuff that's been cracked open. Like, yeah, we should probably get silver weapons and blunt weapons and stuff. Or you have a group that doesn't know any of that and doesn't know the specifics of this game, and you just kind of spring it onto them, and it's like, yeah, well, get fucked, dude. I don't know. I guess ghouls could work, but they're pretty nasty. 2d6 ghouls is quite the fight. 1 armor, 9 hit points, and they get 3 attacks that all can paralyze. Oh, also they can't be reduced below 1 hit points. No, that's just too nasty. I need something pretty simple here. Probably, I don't know, there's like crawling claws, I guess. D20 crawling claws. Sure. Fuck it. D20 crawling claws. God damn it. Alright, so we hear like this, like in the Mummy movies, like the scarab sound effect before 15 crawling claws burst out of the pool. At least we get to go first, and they're all kind of clumped, so Varuna's gonna have to do her thing. Basically the same. I don't know why we would differ. She's gonna blow all her mana on this again. So she'll have no mana for the follow-up fight. But still, it's 2d6 to all of them. She could... Yeah, I don't see why she wouldn't wipe them all out in one go. And they're just the size of a hand. This is a 10-foot radius sphere. So 20 feet diameter. This cavern is 30 feet across. So, yeah, it would hit all of them. The only way she doesn't kill all of them is if she either fucks up her... Well, no, she has luck. We got luck back. So, no, she'll kill all of them. She needs a 6 or higher on this. She got it. And then she needs... Yeah, done. They're all dead. Now, that's pretty quick and easy. They wouldn't be worth much XP. Also, I didn't give XP for the carrion clumps, which were 29 times 6. That's a nice amount. 174. And then these guys would be worth not much. Less than 1 hit dice with like no special abilities. So that's 5 times 15. That's 75. It's not bad for just blowing our load. And then 4 hours later, before we actually get the benefit of a full rest, the pit gurgles once more. And here we have just zombies. Or should I go skeletons? Yeah, we could do skeletons. For the fact that this is going to be trickier. Okay, we'll do skeletons. D6 skeletons pop out. That's our finale. 5 of them. Alright, here we go. So the question is, would we know that they're going to be immune to pierce and slash? I think in a world where that sort of concept exists, it's not unreasonable to look at a skeleton and think that. But we could give, like, a... What would it even be? A mysticism check? Supernatural knowledge? Or would this just be like a detect? See, unlike Tales of Argosa, there's no way to do like a reason check, you know? But I suppose... Yeah, there's no way to do a reason check. Unfortunately. I guess I'd probably leave it to detect then. So really any of us could succeed. Like multiple characters have 6 or 8 detect. So we'll just say, yeah, we got it. It probably would have been mysticism, I guess, but it's really just like fundamental thought about physics and biology and just how this would work. And it doesn't really have anything to do with supernatural stuff. I guess survival is natural knowledge and adaptability. You could argue for that. Anyways. Okay, so... Well, but then that's to know that blunt weapons are the only thing that are going to work. But as for the silver part, that would probably be more mysticism. So we'll have Francine roll for that. Okay, so she figures, oh shit, we don't have many blunt weapons. I'm going to need to bless everybody. So to bless, let's go over that. We want to bless each person's weapon. So I think that's going to be just remote. Well, yeah, probably remote, or she doesn't need to bless her own weapon. I don't know if I have to bless Herbal Gerble's gun or his bullets. Those are pretty different things. Targeted objects count as silvered. Usually you have to silver the ammo, not the gun. But it says here, silver blesses weapon against the accursed. It doesn't say anything about the ammunition. So it's the weapon in this game that's silvered, which is, yeah. It's not the fact that it's like, so it's not a physical thing that's made out of silver. It's a blessing that's like connected to the silver. It's a supernatural thing, obviously. It's not like a werewolf has like an allergy to silver. You know, it's supernatural. So, okay. So I need to bless then his gun, and that's kind of it, really. That's mostly it. I mean, Korthar's sword, I suppose. But it's more about sustaining it on the gun. So the gun's going to be doing all the work, as always. So I'm just going to bless just the gun, which is 0 mana. And then I have to focus on it on following turns. Right. So for now, it's not going to cost me any mana. I just have to succeed on a 6 or higher, which I did. So his gun is blessed. Korthar is going to step up to give Herbal Gerbil a second action, and then Korthar starts dancing amongst the skellies. And Herbal Gerbil's going to start firing. So that's a... Well, he's going to play Virtuoso, of course. And then he's going to start firing. So it's 8 or higher against the first skelly. He fumbles. He will luck that up. He'll luck it up good. He missed again. This is important, so he's going to keep doing it. There we go. So a D8 on one of them is 7 full. Actually, it's more than, because it's silvered. Where the hell was that mentioned? Weak. Ignores armor and immune and deals an extra damage die. Oh god. Silver is damn good. Also, blunt weapons would be... Yeah, okay. No, I kind of like it. I'm going to be honest. It throws me off a little bit because like no other game in the OSR really does this shit. But yeah, I kind of like it, like having to prepare for that stuff. and think about that stuff. I mean, it's nice when you have a spellcaster that can just make your weapon silver temporarily. Yeah, so normally they have 1 armor. We ignore that. They have 4 hit points. He would roll 2d8. They're fucking dead. Okay. Good. That was his first shot. His second shot then hits for 2d8. 8 damage. He blows away 2 skeletons. Nice and easy. That leaves 3 left. And Francine went. Korthar went. So it's just Varuna. She has no mana, so she's just going to use one of her spells. They're weak to blunt, but I don't think any of these are blunt. So it's probably just going to be adhere. Yeah, Exalt can't be used. Fade can't be used. Fear can't be used. Life? Does life do anything to undead? No. Oh, well. Okay, so she'll just use acid. They're not weak or immune to it. So you roll a d20. 14. She does d6 to one of them, and it's a kill. Even with the armor. Excellent. So 3 down, 2 to go. The 2 skeletons are going to pounce onto Korthar, of course. He's this annoying man thing dancing around them. So he's going to roll to dodge. That's a miss, but that's a success. The second one, that's good, and that's good. All right, he dodges both, no problem. Back to us. Herbal Gerbil. Well, he's going to step up. Herbal Gerbil. He fires his first shot. He misses. We got luck left. Nah, I'm not going to do it. Second shot is a hit for 2d8. Only 3 damage. He's got 1 health left. Varuna. Hit for... Oh, not enough. Shit. Varuna might re-roll that. There we go. That's a kill. All right. I thought that was the big finale, but it was pretty... Well, they were all not too bad. Granted, it would have been worse had I not allowed for any knowledge checks, and I threw at this at unknown players that just tried to slash at them. It would have been a little worse, but not too much worse. Most of the skeletons would have been on Korthar anyways, and he would have dodged everything. The spells would have worked. Francine probably would have... I don't know, like... just gone in as a bird again and done nothing. And then Herbal Gerbil would have done nothing. But it would have been obvious after the first round. So it would have been a bit worse, but not too bad. But then if they didn't think to use Bless to put silver weapons on, because you wouldn't normally think silver would be used against skeletons and zombies and stuff. But I think if you inform players, which you really should, I mean, come on. That's a basic mechanic of the game. That silvered in this game is essentially like a blessing against anything that would be unholy. Which is what it is in this game. Then I think that's pretty... It would be pretty evident. They probably would have started with Bless in that case. It's also the fact that it's called fucking Bless. And that's it. So that's 5 skeletons. And for that, those are 1 hit dice with an ability. So that's 13 each. 13 times 5 is 65. There you go. Not much XP from this, and we didn't really get any loot. But we know that the rest of the 48 hours passes without event. Not very climactic. I could have pushed that to the last 4 hours, I suppose, for like a big finale, but that's what I would do, I suppose, if I was DMing and I thought about it. Right. But eventually, well, we got to consume another ration. Down to 8 rations. Also, all of our torches are now gone. We spent every last torch. So we're going to have to go back home. But all in all, pretty good. So finally, the halfling calls up to us as our campfire is about to go out for the final time. And he says, "It's ready, it's ready." And he, we help him sort of keep the rocks in position for everything to be set. He performs the rites, the ritual. The whole thing glows, and then it's perfectly sealed once again. like flush with the floor as if it's, you know, never been disturbed in 1,000 years. He thanks us profusely. You know, he says many prayers to Kelemvor for delivering us to him and helping him resolve this. And of course, he's gonna give us a reward because this is a fucking RPG. That's how it works. So I need an item that he would pass on to us, some sort of wondrous thing. It could be a collection of small stuff, but I'm gonna go with a we're gonna go with a random wondrous item. So I'm gonna click wondrous items here, and he's gonna give us one of these. A compass of hell, blessed by hell, which has 2 pointers. One points to the nearest danger, the other is to the nearest safe place. It's fine. I mean, I don't know how many groups would be like enamored with that sort of thing. Oh, it'd be funny if he hands it to you and then it just immediately points to the halfling hermit. But that's okay. The problem with this table, like, I've seen all these items like multiple times now. Like the helmet of the Dark Lord always gets listed like twice. So as much as I like this table, it needs way more stuff added to it. That's an interesting item. Amulet of the Luck Stealer. When rolling a d20, you can roll 2 d20 to take the higher result, but the next time someone else, the person you took it from, needs to roll a d20, they roll 2 d20 to take the lower result. So you can borrow their luck. There's also the Headband of Karma, which is the same thing, but for yourself. Okay. Well, we use Axe a lot, so why don't we go... I haven't really looked too much for magic items. That's special treasure. No, we specifically want magic items, like an uncommon or something. Where is that under? Here. So uncommon is potions. I guess it would be rare, but that could end up being like a sword +2 or something, which isn't... I mean, it's pretty powerful, but I don't really want a potion or a scroll. Like, I kind of want an item. So, yeah, I guess Axe doesn't have really good guidance for that either. Fuck. The best thing to do, I suppose, is just come up with it yourself. Well, wait a minute. Vagabond has magic items. Why don't we just use one of those? Good old relic. It's got a bunch of them. So I guess I could just pick one. I don't know if I really want like a weapon or armor or something. I'd rather it be something kind of magical. Like the Decanter of Endless Water, although that's valued at like 10,000 gold. That's a lot of XP. I could see something worth 5,000 gold. Peacemaker, a revolver which silvers all bullets fired from it. Deals an extra +2 damage, attacks with the count is silvered, and it will only fire at hostile foes. That's a pretty good gun. A fucking Phoenix down. One use resurrection. Yep, that's what it is. Yeah, most of these are a little too valuable. But I mean, it puts a ring of fire resistance at a value of 25,000 gold. I don't know if that's... Yeah, I guess that's right. Look at this. Except this, the axe version, makes you resistant to fire damage, reducing it by half and giving +2 on saves. This ring of fire resistance is unharmed by non-magical fire. Oh, but yeah, I guess for magic fire attacks or anything like that, you reduce fire damage by 1 per damage die rolled, which I don't know if that's as good as half. So yeah, anyways. Gosh, I'm at a fucking loss. I need to spend time, find some good generator that I'm happy with, that just has like, just give me like a fucking 1,000 magic items, you know? Doesn't Donjon or something have like something? Here's Kasun. Let's say minimum uncommon, max rare, cursed maybe. Okay, so we get a magic weapon, quarterstaff of sleet. Whenever you deal cold damage, amount of cold damage dealt is increased by 1d8. Very modern. Green dragon chainmail, the bronze dragon. I thought it was green dragon. Resistance to poison damage and resistance to lightning damage. Helm of the alchemist. When the wearer imbibes a healing potion, they receive an additional 1d6 hit point. Okay, I mean, there's some ideas here. Let me just keep looking. Boy, oh boy. Yeah. A whistle. The natural signal whistle of vitality. It's very, like, modern video gamey, isn't it? With, like, just keywords and just, like, random shit added. Like, this gives you 1d4 charges of locate animals or plant spell. And your max hit points increases by your con mod while attuned to this item. And it's a whistle. Oh, I'm never gonna find something I'm happy with. Yeah, this is all very modern. I mean, I search for D&D magic item generator. What do I really expect? Say uncommon, an item type, a wondrous item. I'm just trying all sorts of generators now until I find something I'm happy with. Celestial compass. You can point it at any location within 500 feet. The compass glows softly, illuminating the area with bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30 feet. You can ask the compass a single question, and it points toward the direction of the nearest creature or object related to your inquiry. Okay, so it's like 2 separate effects, I suppose. But being able to just light up any location within 500 feet with super bright light seems sort of powerful. I'll try one more just out of curiosity. I don't think there's really a good one for the OSR. Because people there just generally are like, yeah, just make up your own shit. Which I could, but I'm not that creative. Yeah, there's the OSE one, but it's just like... The list isn't that big of items it could be. So, I mean, this Placer Cloak is pretty good. Any melee attack is at -2 against you. Like, that's pretty damn good. Oh, here's Donjon's D20. This is minor. We'll go medium. A scimitar of +4 that sheds light. And then you don't even get to know, like, what a Horn of Blasting is. You have to look that up separately. Yeah. It's... Yeah, what do you expect, I suppose? It's probably a me issue, really. Like, for my players, at least. They'd be happy with just about anything I give them, you know? I'm just so picky and anal and stuff like that. I mean, it's just like, it's too powerful. It's a mace that causes all low intelligence and lower creatures to immediately make a morale check. That seems really good. Armor where the PC can become invisible at will if and only if they hold still and hold their breath. Okay, that's not bad. I guess that's sort of the degree of things I'm looking for. Alright, fine. We'll go with that. I found something I'm relatively happy with. So, we'll say he's a halfling. He's a hermit. It's going to be leather armor. Which in our case is light armor, but because it's... I'm going to make it a +1 because it's magical. So it's technically 2 armor, but it's a light. Doesn't really matter because we... So it's not going to give anyone in our group any extra armor. But it only takes up 1 slot, so that's nice. And if you are motionless, if you stand still and hold your breath, you are invisible. And he used it many times in his youth when traveling the lands to avoid, you know, being caught and killed and eaten and stuff. But now he's settled down. Now he's going to continue to watch over this temple and make sure this seal stays sealed. So he has no use for it, and we are just beginning our adventures, so hopefully it does us much good. So, I think we're probably going to give it to Orthar. He's got the best sneak. He's the one most likely to maybe go ahead on his own. So, we'll give it to Korthar. We're going to change this. We need a name for this armor. Let's go to AI, because I don't want to be... I need a name for a set of leather armor that allows you to be invisible when you stand still and hold your breath. It's gonna come up with some doofy shit. The still hold shroud. Okay, that's fine. Still hold shroud. +1. So that's 1 slot, 2 armor, and he gets that special ability. Which I'll write here. Which brings up the question of how long can you hold your breath for? Does Vagabond have any guidance for that? A fine question. It says you begin suffocating after not breathing for 1 minute. So nothing based on might, nothing of any of that. Just 1 minute. Easy peasy, done. Okay, 1 minute. I guess that's simpler than whatever Axe would have, wherever that would be in the rules and blah, blah, blah. So we'll just go for 1 minute. Fine. So being able to be invisible for standing still for 1 minute is not bad. Certainly not bad. Okay, we depart then because we are out of torches and we've done our good deed here. We're quite happy. Oh, I need the apparent value of this armor. That's a little trickier to figure out because, you know, Axe bases everything around the, like, a spell. It bases all its magic items essentially around magic spells or something similar. So we'd have to go to Magic Research and look at the price table to figure out the base cost. So this is an activated effect that's at will, essentially, right? Like, you can do it at any point if you stand still and hold your breath. So that would be basically, even if we count it as a level 1 spell, which it ain't, that would be 500 gold times 50, which is a lot. Now, there is a Ring of Invisibility, which has a base value of 49,500 gold, because it's once per turn invisibility. This would be even higher than that, because there's no limit to it. I could do it basically every minute after I take a breath. So whatever 500 times 50 is, and then times invisibility, which is 3. So this would have a base value of 75,000 gold, according to Axe, if you wanted to be specific about it. But it has much higher limitations than invisibility, and I don't know if Axe really takes that into account or anything. So I wouldn't say it's worth 75,000, because you can't move and you can't breathe while it's active. So it's sort of like a cursed item, to be honest. In a sense, it doesn't replicate the spell exactly. So I'd put the base value at 10,000. Now that only really matters if we're going to sell it, and we're definitely going to equip it. We already did, so we don't get XP for it even if we did sell it now. So I just need a base apparent value of it, and since it's a magic leather armor, we're just going to go with 670, which is the normal. So we didn't really get that much XP out of this whole expedition. We got a pittance. But let's pretend that we were using the Vagabond XP system, just out of curiosity. Which is somewhere in this book somehow. Oh, that's a fine question, isn't it? Here, leveling up. All right, so assuming we're not doing milestone, we want to do this questionnaire. We finished a session. Did we complete a quest? Yes. Did we fail and allow the fail to resolve? I think I missed a shot at some point. I think there was some failure at some point. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Did you pass a hindered check? No. I don't think we did anything that was ever hindered. Did we make a discovery? Yeah, I think you could say we discovered the shrine, we discovered the hermit, we discovered the seal and the portal to the underworld. That's a discovery. And did we loot at least 50 gold of treasure, or 500 gold of treasure? Yes, based on the magic item, yes, we did. So 3 or 4 XP for that session. And to get to level 2, we need 10. So technically, we'd be like 2/5 of the way to level 2. With our normal system, we got, what, like, not even 1,000 XP divided among 4, which is 250. So we're like 1/8 of the way. Yeah, it's a lot harsher. But that was a really low XP thing because I just spitballed it and it wasn't a dungeon. So what do you really expect? So we're not doing Vagabond XP. We're doing Axe XP, but that's... Yeah, I mean, not getting an XP for the whole session because there wasn't any hindered checks is pretty lame. So even if I were to run this for other people, I probably still would do gold as XP. Just because it's like everyone understands it. There's no... It's all very clear. I mean, yeah, sometimes the apparent value of magic items gets a little murkier, but mostly it's pretty clear. All right, and then we're going to make it back. So we need to roll one more random encounter check on our way home. So this is going to be in our home tile, which is a forest, I believe. That's what we said this was. The Green Grove. And our village is called Tree Crag. So this is definitely like a forested area. In the Outlands. Fun stuff. So we're going to roll a d20, yada yada. 4, that's going to be no encounter. Excellent. And we arrive back home in time for dinner. And we get our XP, which I guess I could tally up. It's really not much. Unless the DM throws you bonus XP for completing a quest, which does sometimes happen. So that'd be 1,000. Let's throw in another 1,000 for completing a quest there. That's fine. Divided by 4, we each get 503. Okay. Let's see. Francine, Korthar, Hundle... What the fuck is my character's? Herbal Gerbil. Or, how could I forget? Herbal Gerbil and Varuna have 503. Okay, and that was our first real session of Vagabond. Yeah, so it's... I think my opinion is still not that changed. It's still like I'd really like to play with a DM, because I really do like that magic system. I like the class system. I like how kind of it's a nice blend of modern and old with... Yeah, it's still OSR combat. It's still pretty lethal, quick, low hit points across the board kind of stuff. But there's special abilities on both sides to kind of spice up the encounters. You know, classes get special abilities, monsters get special abilities. It's not just I swing, you swing, I swing. Okay, something's dead. So yeah, I do think that's all pretty interesting, but especially for solo purposes, I really don't know if it does anything that Tales of Argosa doesn't do for me. I mean, it does different things, but I don't know if it does anything better. Yeah. Tales of Argosa is a little bit more traditional. You're not using really that many abilities. It's a bit closer to the OSR. Enemies don't really have that many special abilities. You get to roll under, which I really like, which has similar kind of success rates, except for in combat, Tales of Argosa are probably a little less likely to hit on a lot of stuff. But Tales of Argosa, you get bonuses to attack and damage based on your stats. And it's pretty easy, especially like... Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy for like a character to have +2 or +3 at level 1 for attack rolls. A lot of enemies at level 1 are going to have like 11 or 12 AC. So, you know, you have to roll like an 8 or a 9 to succeed. In this game, for many characters, you might have to roll an 8 or higher to succeed. So it's kind of similar in combat. But then out of combat, we didn't really do much of that, so it's kind of hard to say. I also like Tales of Argosa for just having standard stats. If I need something to be an intelligence test, it's just like, yeah, fucking roll intelligence. You're smart, you can roll, done. Here it's like, okay, is it mysticism? Is it perception? I mean, we already encountered that issue. I can't just say roll a stat or roll under a stat, because stats exist, but they're functionally useless for any sort of rolling. It's all based around the skills. Well, I guess you can roll a stat. You can roll a might, but it's the check is 20 minus your score, making it practically impossible. So I think most things are meant to be skills. Yeah, it's just different. It's just different. Also, as a bummer, there's no Foundry module. The Aloe Rodeo module is essentially worthless. Like, I'm not going to touch it almost ever again. Out of just fear of it being broken. So that's a pretty big slight against it at this moment. Yeah, I don't know. I'm tempted to just call this here and have it be just an extended, like, let's read Vagabond. Is just like an extended first look at Vagabond. Because now, you know, I gave it like an honest attempt of looking at it as a solo campaign kind of thing. And we didn't like adapt any modules, so we didn't even get into that discussion of like the slight difficulty of converting monsters or anything. Like, this was all just off the cuff homebrew stuff using the bestiary and everything. Yeah, I'm conflicted because there's definitely stuff I like about it. I would like to play it. But solo, it just seems like maybe a bit too much work, especially at the moment with the way the VTT situation is. If you had a really solid like Foundry module that automated a lot of stuff for me, and I didn't have to look up much at all, and I could just click and there's the roll and done and blah blah blah, like that would go a long way towards making me want to play a lot more of it solo. But the fact that even with Tales of Argosa, which is not that popular at all, I can load up the Foundry module, I can click their perception, and it rolls fucking perception. It tells me if it's a great success. I can roll an attack, and I can roll, you know, blade trauma, like, all done, like, really simple. And I can just add items easily to an equipment. Like, I don't have to use a fucking PDF character sheet, which I know I've done in the past for, like, Shadow Dark before I discovered Foundry, but these days, I really want to avoid having these PDF windows open and alt-tabbing, and yeah, just, ugh. It's not a fun way to play solo. So, yeah, I guess for that reason, I'm probably going to end this little expedition here. Again, I think if you watched all my Vagabond videos, you kind of know now if it's something you're interested in or not. And I do think that Hex Describe is a fantastic site, fantastic resource. I really recommend if you want to get into hex crawling, whether solo or DMing it. This is a really great way to just generate something pretty usable out the gate in like a few seconds. And you know, like, I mean, yeah, like I said, I sat down here, I didn't know what we were gonna do. I didn't know what rumor I was gonna roll or anything, and we just went. And yeah, I mean, it requires some creativity on your part. Like that hex really didn't say much other than there was an old temple to a god of death and a hermit halfling living there. But that's part of DMing. You know, like it's going to require some creativity unless you only run just modules and don't change anything. But yeah, that was good. I think it was fun. But as it is, I think we'll stick mostly to Tales of Argosa. But like I said, I don't regret purchasing Vagabond. I don't regret looking at it. It's got some good stuff. It's got some fun stuff. It does have things I wish were a bit different. Yeah, the hit point thing, that's just, I don't know really why they went with that route, but I'm happy to change that, and I think it's a pretty simple change to just go back to hit dice. I think there's some funky things with maybe balance that could be addressed. Maybe a bit more guidance for the druid on like shape-shifting. Do they die if they hit 0? Do they shape-shift back if they hit 0? Yeah, there's some funky stuff with like the scrolls, and you can just make unlimited scrolls if you have enough money that just can do insane amount of damage for free. I don't know. There's various things that we looked at, but overall, still a pretty good. I mean, definitely better than, like, you know, we looked at Ambition and Avarice 2nd edition, and I really didn't have much use for that solo or with a group. Here, though, like I said, I really would like to play with a group, because I think I'd have a lot of fun playing with, like, one character as a mage that can do all the fun mage stuff. But alright, that's gonna do it. My name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Mangging, looking at Vagabond RPG, and I'll see you fine folks around.